That is not a side kick. In this video, we'll cover a side kick, how to perform it properly, some common mistakes, and how to avoid those. So the various simple, basic kicks that we learn in martial arts, the side kick seems to give beginners a bit of trouble. The side kick presents a particular challenge in that it often devolves into something like a roundhouse kick. Well, how do we fix that? So the side kick is one of those pushing kicks, like a front kick can push. A roundhouse is a swinging kick, it can smack somebody. It can be powerful, but it's still a swinging kick. A side kick as a pushing kick is supposed to be much more powerful. So in this case, it's the path the foot takes to get to its target that determines which kick it is. Right, so a roundhouse kick will come from behind, and a side kick of whatever sort will come from in front. Right, so a side kick will be like a stomp, and a roundhouse kick will be more like shooting a soccer ball. Now, if I kick this way at you, my foot's sideways, I'm aiming more with my heel, but that's still not a side kick. What I just did was a roundhouse kick. What a lot of beginners do is they'll focus and get fixated on the foot form, which is important. Right, it's not unimportant. But then they'll forget about the path. So the path that the foot takes to get there. And so if just ending up here is not good enough, right? Because I can get there either from behind or from in front of me. And so if I come from behind, that's a roundhouse kick. But if I come from in front, it's a side kick. You want to be very clear about the path that the foot takes. And so if I'm sideways, I want to divide the space in front of me in half, right, at the midline. And so on my chamber, on my prepare for the kick, if my foot starts behind me, near my butt, then I push it forward like a swing. I use my thigh to extend it. That's a roundhouse kick, whether I have my foot pointed or not, or whether it looks like a side kick. The foot form does not determine the type of kick in this case. If I start in front of me with my butt, my hip, my shoulder pointing at my target, and then I stomp sideways, then that's a side kick. It should feel like a stomp. If it doesn't, it's probably a roundhouse kick. So whatever type of kick it is, whether I'm stepping in, skipping in, spinning, turning, whatever, it needs to come from in front of me and then back toward the midline at the target. So the easiest way to learn is if we're here, in sort of a horse ride stance or side stance or middle stance or whatever you want to call it, sideways for a side kick. I bring my back leg, which will become my base leg, my non-kicking leg, the one that stays on the ground, becomes my base. I'll bring it and actually point my heel at where my other heel is going to hit. Right? So my toes are away, my other toes are sideways, and my heels are pointing at my target or hitting my target. Right? So my left heel points at my target, my right heel hits my target. From here, I step up, bring my knee in front of me. Now if I try to bring it behind me, it's going to be a little awkward. So this kind of forces us into the right position, the right orientation for our hips. Bring my knee up and stomp back. So once you get a little bit better at that, what you can do is you can then step into it with a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more power, a little bit more speed perhaps. Right, so when you start to do a spin or a turn, especially the turn, which is more difficult, if you're trying to do a turning side kick this way and kick, it's easy to make that turn into a roundhouse kick, right? Coming this way if we don't rotate enough beforehand. But we have to make sure our foot comes in front. All right, so our knee comes in front, our hip turns over, like a roundhouse kick. We need to really turn our hip over, like in the chamber and execution of a roundhouse kick, just like a side kick, even more so. As we come around, then kick. All right, this way. As long as the foot ends or starts in front of us, you can have our heel also kind of toward the other knee in the midline, so it's in a straight line. That's fine too. It doesn't have to be way out here in front and then backward, but it can't be behind us when we're pushing it forward. So we're practicing from front stance or from a fighting stance, from a back stance of a sort. We come up with our heel in line or in front, just not behind, kick, and back down into whatever stance we're using. Up. All right. So as long as it's in a straight line or even in front and moving backward. So if we're to do a spin, it might make sense then to have it kind of go backward. Make sure it's not turning into a hook kick. All right, so it's not a hook kick in that way, or a wheel kick or anything like that, but it's still going straight in, just from this side of us, from in front of us, in with the heel. And so a recap of how to properly perform the side kick. If we're starting from our side, we're not turning or spinning or anything, we step up, make sure our heel is pointing where our other heel is going to hit, bring our leg in front, our knee in front, and our heel can be in line with our knee and our target. And we try to keep our heel on that line as we extend it out. If we were trying to add a turn, well, let's start with a spin. If we were trying to add a spin, so we're going in the direction of the kick, we just need to make sure, besides keeping our balance, focusing on our target when our head spins around, we want to make sure that our foot doesn't go too far back and becomes a roundhouse kick. We also want to make sure it doesn't become a wheel or a hook kick. So it has to be kind of in the middle for it to be a spinning side kick or a spinning back kick. All right? And if we're turning, this is probably the most difficult because the temptation is not to turn enough and make it a roundhouse kick. We don't want that. So make sure that the foot comes past that midline, or at least at that midline, so that the heel will travel in the straight line and not swing like a roundhouse kick. We want it to be like a stomp. Hope this video was helpful. Please let me know if you have any other questions or other techniques you'd like me to break down for you. I would love it if you would like this video and share it to somebody who might benefit from it. Until next time, fruitful training and have a great life.